Do a quick guide to using the Fantrax website to do some basic stuff, and then maybe at a later time I'll do some more detailed demonstrations. But I thought doing this would save me a lot of typing and maybe would save you a number of questions you might have. So I've got my login information here in the Fantrax website, and I go. You go to My Leagues. Typically, you'll just have the one newbie, nobodies, and then the name of your team. Click on that, and it brings up the main page, which has rankings once we get going, and then who you're facing this week. Where you want to go most of the time is to team roster, and here you have your starting lineup, the first 7 here, and then in slightly shaded rows are your reserves. And then once your players get injured, and we'll get into that in a second, if they're significantly injured, you'll be able to drag them down to the injured reserve without causing any problems. Anyway, hopefully not too many of you are in that position quite yet. You also have your kicker and your team defense. You can carry up to 2 of both of these positions. But I just want to point out that you've got your emergency reserve spot here. Now, once you use it anywhere in your roster, it will disappear from these other places. So it's not like you have one reserve spot for team defense, one reserve spot for kicking, etc. There's just one for your whole, or however many. Once you move people down to the injured reserve, you'll have more reserve spots available. But anyway, you'll see how that works as time goes on. The main thing I want to show you is that, of course, this outlines both the positions and the name of the player. You can just click on that, and that'll bring up all kinds of good information about overview. This site does a pretty good job of offering some analysis. You can look at stats for the past few seasons, game log. Well, there's nothing there yet, but news and notes. They'll often have a summary of what the player did recently, and then you also have this column section, which is more general about good picks that you might be able to find that are not yet claimed, that kind of thing. Anyway, we're going to get rid of that. The main thing I want to show you here is how to switch your players around, because each week you're going to want to look probably Wednesday or Thursday during the day at the latest, because some games, of course, start on Thursday night. I think I've got one guy here that does that. Okay. Oh, no, there he is, yeah. So Kansas City and New England are the Thursday game. And then you may want to check also Saturday or Sunday morning before the main games that are usually played on Sunday, Monday start. You can switch these players around up until their kickoff time, but note that, for example, if this guy has already played, and I have him in reserve, I can no longer put him up in the active zone, obviously, and so I'm stuck with whoever I've got here, unless I have another reserve guy. Anyway, you'll see how that works. The main things that I look at when I'm deciding who to put in my starting lineup for the week are who the players are playing against. You'll get a feel over the course of the season for what teams tend to be tougher in terms of their defense and against the run, against the pass, all that kind of stuff. There's also stats you can look up to help you out. There's quite a bit of stuff available there, even from other sites. And then once the season gets going, you'll also have a pretty good idea of what kind of clip your guys are going at in terms of receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, etc. All these things count towards your points each week, as you try to outdo your opponent for that week. So it takes your net receiving yards, receiving of all your receivers, say for example, adds them all up and then compares them to your what your opponent has gotten for the week. Okay, so let's say, for example, here we've got Julius Thomas. He's not listed as playing a game this week because there's that hurricane coming. So I have to switch out. This is a designated tight end slot, so I can only fill that with tight ends. So to do that, I just click to the left of the player. It lights up other options here. Now I could put him down in reserve, but I don't need to. I can just actually click this other place here, and that will allow me to do a direct switch with Jack Doyle. Brings Jack Doyle up. He plays on Sunday. That's great. Yeah, so the main thing to watch over the course of the season is whether or not your players have buys, in which case obviously they won't be playing. And if they're not playing, they're not going to add to the stats that you accumulate for the games for that week. Similarly, if you've got somebody injured, they're not obviously going to accumulate anything, and you may have to put them either in reserve, or if they've got a more serious injury, you can put them into the injured reserve slots. Okay, so that's the basic idea there. Now, one important thing is you have to remember to click the submit button here, otherwise it won't save the changes that you've made on this page. Once you do that, it'll say changes saved successfully, and you can move along. The other main thing I want to show you at this point is how to get players from the free agent pool. For that, you go up to players, click on that, and then that brings up whoever is available. Now, they've got it in alphabetical order at the moment just because there are no regular season stats, but you could click on anything and sort them according to all kinds of parameters. Just for fun, I'll put projected here, and then I could sort by position and all that kind of stuff, rookies, la la la. You can also search for individual players if you've seen somebody on TV that you like, and then it gives you all the information you need to know. Now, these red flags mean that the player is injured in some way, and then so you can either click on that flag, or you used to be able, or you can click on this little page sign with. They usually have some kind of update if there's like red, yellow, whatever. It depends on how recently they've updated it. So that will tell you again like what exactly the status is for somebody. Now it doesn't actually. It doesn't say. Okay, yeah, back. If there's a more serious injury, it'll usually appear higher up. Oh, there we go. If we go to the overview. Anyway, so if you look down here, just as an example, Quincy Anunwa, he has what looks like a Swiss flag here. That generally means that he is on injured reserve, and therefore he could be moved. If he happened to be on your team, he could be moved down to one of those pink slots. All right, so anyway, to pick up one of these players, what you need to do is just let's say that I wanted to pick up Chris Thompson. So I would press on the green circle there. That then brings up, that then brings up another page here where you might be able to just kind of pick him up without dropping anybody. But if you don't have room, then you may need to drop somebody. So let's say, for example, let's see, a running back. Let's say I wanted to drop Ezekiel Elliott. So then I would do that and then submit transaction, and then something else, another little window will pop up to tell you whether or not that's creating any problems with your roster. Often, after doing this kind of thing, you have to go back to your team roster and make some adjustments because sometimes this will put your new player into your reserve slot or whatever. I don't know why it's suddenly making a bit of a buzzing noise, but oh, it's gone. All right, so there are a few basic things, and oh, just to go back to, let's just go back to, yeah, well, we want to leave the page. Go back to the players for a second. You can do all kinds of things here. It allows you to kind of keep an eye on certain people that maybe you're not sure you want to pick up. You want to just kind of see how they do. I don't know. I'm not sure really how useful that is. And then this is another place where you can find some of these columns about, I don't know, opinions about who to pick up or who to have around or whatever. Now, I noticed a lot of you only have one tight end, and that's going to give you some trouble if that tight end happens to get injured or if he's on his bye week. So you might need to pick up an extra tight end at one point, and then you may even, if your regular tight end is healthy and it's just a bye week, you could just kind of basically rent one for a week. So and so you just put your usual tight end into a reserve spot if you have one, and then pick up your choice of tight ends and do the same thing that I just showed you, and then you drop them after the games for the week are done. Okay, that's just, one other important thing actually, live scoring. When it comes to when the games are actually going on, you get like a minute-to-minute update on how your players are doing, even the players that are still on your bench, and then this will show you head-to-head how you're faring with your opponent. A lot of this doesn't matter. There's a whole bunch of kicking options here which don't apply to our league, and then we just have the two things for defense. Anyway, you'll get the hang of this, and then you can see how other teams are making out. You can click on somebody else just to see how they're doing or whatever. Okay, I think that's all you need to know to get started. You can have a look around the site, and there are some neat things that the website can do, ways of looking at stats and stuff like that sometimes are kind of just interesting and sometimes they are useful. I'll get into trading and all that kind of stuff maybe next time. All right, I think that's it for now. And where the heck did my